Global markets are down this afternoon as fears of a recession persist, while investors continue weighing the impact of another rise in interest rates in the US. The JSE has also started today's trading session marginally stronger. Let's talk about all of this with market analyst Karl Gevers. Karl, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Daytime Update. We've seen, haven't we, global markets hitting a one-month low after the Jerome Powell speech on more interest rate hikes in the coming months, which then suggests that there's a feeling that other central banks are likely to follow the US's lead.
Yes, certainly. We've heard also from the ECB their intention to prioritize inflation, saying that inflation needs to be stamped out no matter what, in terms of the cost, which obviously refers to economic growth. So we certainly, the market is expecting interest rates across, the major economies to continue to rise over the next few months, and that has been putting pressure on markets, global markets. Yesterday we did see pressure, and in fact this morning our local market started in the green, but it's come back slightly on the weaker commodity space. The resource sector down just over 1% at the moment, on the back of weaker commodity prices, with a sort of slightly potentially weaker outlook in terms of economic growth, and also a stronger rand. So with a weaker dollar, that hasn't helped the resource sector.
Private higher education group Serio has reported strong growth. That's both in earnings and student numbers for the 6 months of 2022, the first 6 months of the year. How are those numbers looking?
Yeah, quite a solid result there. No surprises there. So the revenue up 13%. And a majority of that is on the back of increased student numbers, as you mentioned, up 11%. And that's filtered through down to the earnings number. Earnings per share up 17% to 11 cents or 11.2 cents for the 6 months. So I think a recovery there, sort of post-COVID and just organic growth, I think, which is positive for Stadio.
I also wanted to ask you about Harmony Gold. It's now reported a 49% slump in its annual profit, but it's still managed to pay out a dividend. They've now been citing growing costs for this poor performance. Does it all add up?
Yeah, it is a disappointing result. So a mere 2% increase in revenue, mainly driven by the 3% decline in production. So that's a bit disappointing there. But I think the bigger challenge for Harmony is on the cost side. And that's obviously, there's a big factor of inflation that's factored in there, but also just keeping the grades, the mining levels where they operate are exceptionally deep. So the cost of production there up in the year 16%. So unless they get support from the gold price or a weaker rand, the earnings and earnings growth and margins will come under pressure. So while the dividend of 22 cents is certainly welcome, I think it's something to be cautious of, especially in an environment where the gold price could come under pressure with an increasing interest rate environment.
Let's end with Pepsico and that deal, that attempt to buy Pioneer Foods. It believes, that's Pepsico, that deal is still on track. Let's refer back to the details of what we know so far and perhaps how the market is responding at this stage.
Yeah, so the deal with PepsiCo purchasing Pioneer happened in 2020, but Pioneer would be delisted since then. But there were certain conditions and commitments that PepsiCo made to government and the Competition Commission to get the deal through. And PepsiCo just highlighting that they're on track with those commitments, and that was to invest about 5.5 billion in the South African economy, in terms of that's on top of their acquisition cost, in terms of production capabilities, distribution facilities, and also social initiatives. And they've got the Kgodiso Development Fund, where 600 million is being deployed into education, SMME development, and also emerging farmers, and then also a 1.6 billion employee scheme. So I think in terms of that, PepsiCo is just highlighting that they are on track with that, continuing with their commitment to the deal.
Karl Gevers, thank you very much for your time.